Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions will please come to order. I thank Ms. McMahon for appearing before our committee last week. If confirmed, Ms. McMahon has the tall task of reforming a Department of Education that has lost its purpose. For the last 4 years, the department focused on everything but student learning, with bureaucracy and red tape standing in the way of student success. We need a strong leader at the department who will get our education system back on track, and Ms. McMahon is the right person for the job. She successfully led large organizations for decades, first as a businesswoman, then as head of the Small Business Administration in President Trump's first term. Throughout the nomination process, Ms. McMahon demonstrated a strong vision for the Department of Education. She committed to empowering parents and returning powers to states and local communities, which, by the way, are best equipped to address students' needs. Ms. McMahon is steadfast in her determination to uphold the true meaning of Title IX, ensuring fairness for women and girls on the field and in the classroom. She will hold colleges and universities accountable to protect all students from discrimination, including Jewish students who have faced anti-Semitic violence and harassment since October the 7th. Ms. McMahon is the partner this committee needs to improve the nation's education system. If she is confirmed, I look forward to working with her to ensure every child has the opportunity to succeed. I proudly support Ms. McMahon's nomination. I urge colleagues to vote yes. And with that, I recognize Senator Sanders for his opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I rise in opposition to Ms. McMahon. I like her personally. I respect the work she has done in building a large and successful business. But I think the main point that has to be made in this particular moment in history is it really doesn't matter who the Secretary of Education is, the Secretary of Labor is, because those people will not be calling the shots. What I think should be of great concern to every member of this committee, every member of Congress and the American people, is that this great nation, founded on democratic principles, founded around a separation of powers between the legislative branch, the judiciary, the executive branch, is moving more and more toward an authoritarian society where all power is resting in the hands of a few in the White House. The other day, the president, whether facetiously or not, and I suspect not quite facetiously, talked about being a king, talked about the day before, that when you're trying to quote-unquote save the country, you don't have to worry about the law. Well, that is not what this country is about. That's not what the founding fathers, in their brilliance. You know, the older I get, the more I respect the work that these guys did back in the 1770s. They were nobody's fools. And they understood you don't give one branch all the power. They fought the King of England, which now takes us back to the Department of Education. And that is, in a sense, it doesn't really matter who the secretary will be, because he or she will not have the power. I think that everybody in this committee understands that we are living in a time of massive income and wealth inequality, and the Department of Education provides vital resources for 26 million kids who live in high-poverty school districts. These are the kids who most need our help. Is it the responsibility of the federal government to see that every kid in America, whether you're poor, middle class, or rich, gets a quality education? In my view, it is. It really is. And that is what a lot of what the Department of Education does. Is it a perfect entity? No. Is it bureaucratic? Yes. Can we reform it? Yes. Should we abolish it? No. The Department of Education provides funding that millions of public school students with disabilities desperately need. And without federal funding, where would these kids be? It supports nearly 10 million children enrolled in rural schools. It provides Pell Grants to 7 million low-income kids to help pay for the cost of college. It enforces our federal civil rights laws to ensure all students can get a decent education no matter what the color of their skin may be, no matter what their religion is, no matter what their gender is. So, Mr. Chairman, I will vote to oppose Ms. McMahon. I respect her, I like her, but I will vote no.
We are waiting for two more on our side to show up. which I'm told we need to wait for them unless I get a volunteer from one of you guys to vote yes. If not, Senator Kim, I mean, you're, take the floor. Does anybody else have a statement which they would like to make?
Mr. Chair, I do. Mr. Chair, I appreciate being recognized for brief remarks. And just following on what the ranking member said, fundamentally the question before us today is whether we support a nominee and president who believe that dismantling the United States Department of Education is in the best interest of kids, despite the fact that there's no evidence that doing so will improve academic outcomes or ensure that our most vulnerable students have a fair shot at accessing a high-quality public education. At the heart of our democracy is the belief that our country's promise belongs to everyone, that each and every person matters and should be fully included in our country's success. Yet we know that for much of our country's history, Black and brown children and children with disabilities were often excluded, unable to go to the same schools or experience the same opportunities as other kids had. Congress created the Department of Education to address these deep divides and prioritize educational success as a national focus. While we still have much more work to do to ensure that every child, no matter their background, region, economic status, ethnicity, or ability, gets an excellent education, we can't achieve this by diminishing the federal commitment to achieving this shared goal. Though only about 10% of public education funding comes from the federal government, this investment, coupled with the civil rights protections that the department is charged with providing, is critical to making a public education system accessible to students. What troubles me here is that there's this false narrative that the federal government determines what's happening every day in classrooms across the country, when in fact the vast majority of decisions around public education are made by local decision makers, as it should be. Learning standards, curricular decisions, licensure standards, hiring decisions, and so many other factors are in the hands of our local communities or the states. But safeguarding the rights of all children to an education, no matter their community, their state, or personal circumstance, that's the role entrusted rightly to the federal government. The Department of Education provides civil rights protections, provides Title I and IDEA investments that help make it possible for local schools to provide educational opportunities to all students, provides research and data on how kids are doing and how we can help them do better, and serves as a convener focused on spreading innovative best practices. Those are all necessary and important responsibilities for the success of public education in this country. Now is not the time to go backward, to disinvest and deprioritize our children's educational success. Our nation's strength, success, and security depend on that success. A country that says it values children isn't a country that unravels the one agency, the only agency in the federal government that exists to focus on children. My mom was a teacher, a proud public school teacher. And she said that every kid needs to know that they have an adult in their corner. We also have to make sure that they know the federal government is in their corner too. Thank you.
Senator Murkowski is on her way. Thank you, Senator Hassan. Senator Murkowski is on her way. We'll start the vote, but I ask my Republican colleagues to stay in your seat until she has actually voted. Yeah. Real quick.
I want to point out to, and just, to the ranking member, I guess, or minority ranking member, I want to point out that it's interesting to hear you talk about, the United States and the manner that it is and the way that we perform when sometimes you actually openly present yourself as a socialist and what that means for this country. It's also interesting to hear you guys try to defend the Department of Education. When the Department of Education was first stood up, we were ranked #1 in the world globally in education, and today we rank 34th. And you think it's working? I don't even know how you defend that. I don't know how you can possibly, with a straight face, say that that's working. What we're doing is a definition of insanity, which means we're repeating the same thing, expecting different results. God forbid that President Trump comes in and actually wants to make changes. My kids all go to the public school system. My mother was a special ed teacher. My sisters, special ed teachers. My grandmother, my aunt, and my brother-in-law all in the school system. All teachers or principals. I get it. Understand it. Talk to them and ask them how well it's working. It's not. If we really say we're for the kids, then let's try something drastic. Let's actually make a change, because we're doing nothing but going backwards. And our test scores haven't improved since 1979. They've just continued to fall. So with that being said, I'm all for change, and I'm a definite yes. With that, sir, I yield back.
Mr. Chair.
With that, since obviously Senator Murkowski's here, and it's every person's right to have 2 minutes of personal privilege. So for those who wish to say, you have 2 minutes personal privilege if you wish. And so Senator Kane, 2 minutes.
30 seconds. Let me skip any ad hominem attack on anybody on this side of the aisle and criticize their reasoning and talk about the nominee. I find areas of agreement, but I can't vote for somebody who will willfully engage in the destruction of the very agency she wants to lead. That is disqualifying.
Anyone else? Personal privilege. Okay. Well, why don't we go ahead and start voting? And again, I ask my Republican colleague, my Democratic colleagues, you can leave whenever you wish, but my Republican colleagues to remain seated until Senator Murkowski has voted. Senator Paul.
Yes.
Senator Collins.
Aye.
Senator Mullen.
Aye.
Senator Marshall.
Aye.
Senator Scott.
Aye.
Hawley. T. Jim. Yes. John.
Aye.
Senator Moody.
Aye.
Senator Sanders.
Nope.
Senator Murray.
No.
Senator Baldwin.
No.
Murphy.
No.
Kane.
No.
Hassan.
No.
Hickenlooper.
No.
Kim. Cassidy votes aye, and we shall wait till Murkowski, and then we'll be through.
Mr. Chairman, can I vote proxy for him?
Okay?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Senator Blunt Rochester and Senator also Brooks also vote no by proxy.
Okay. No Senator Markey?
What about Markey? Markey is no by proxy.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, did y'all hear that? Markey also Brookson? Okay. Senator Murkowski, how do you vote? Aye.
I have 12 ayes, 11 nays.
The ayes have it. The nomination is agreed to and will be favorably reported to the Senate, and the Help Committee stands adjourned.